Welcome to this WiseOwl Excel VBA tutorial. In this short video we'll explain how you can insert pictures into an Outlook email using Excel VBA code. We'll start with the basic recap of how you generate a simple email using Outlook in the first place. Then we'll talk about how you get a reference to the Microsoft Word editor of the email, which is essential to insert pictures. We'll then go through the process of inserting a picture from a file, how you can insert some extra text around the picture, and then we'll look at some of the basic things you can do to manipulate the picture, including controlling its size, as well as maintaining the aspect ratio, and then a few of the basic formatting properties such as borders, reflections, and glow effects. So let's get started. To get started in this video, you'll need a blank Excel workbook and a copy of the picture that you want to insert into your Outlook email. I'm going to use a basic WiseOwl training logo, saved as a JPEG in a folder called Pics. From the Excel workbook, you can head straight to the Developer tab and open the Visual Basic Editor, insert a new module in the usual way, and then perhaps create a subroutine called Email with Pictures, or with Picture I suppose, as I'm only going to insert one in this example. We've covered the basics of creating emails using Outlook in a couple of previous videos, so we'll just recap the basics here. What you'll need to do first is set a reference to the object libraries that you require. First of all, of course, you'll need the Microsoft Outlook object library, as we're going to be mainly programming in Outlook. And then you'll also need a reference to the Microsoft Word object library. We're going to make use of the Word editor property of one of our emails, so we'll need to use the Word object library to give us as much help as possible when we start doing that. So I'm going to look for Microsoft Word 16.0 object library, check the box, and then click OK. Now let's add the code that creates the basic email. We'll declare a variable called OL as an Outlook.application and a second variable called MI as an Outlook.mail item. We can create a new instance of the Outlook application by saying set OL equals new Outlook.application, and then we can create a new email object or mail item object by setting MI equal to OL.createItem and then refer specifically to the OL mail item. We can make the email object appear on screen by saying mi.display. We can set a basic to property by saying mi.to equals someone at somewhere.com, that famous website company. And then we can say mi.subject equals, let's say pictures, something nice and simple. We can then just give the the subroutine a quick run to check what the email looks like, make sure it appears as we expect, and there we go. What I'd like to do next is get a reference to the Word editor of this email so that I can insert a new picture right at the very top of the email itself. Let's close down the current email without saving the changes. To get a reference to the Word editor, I can refer to the mi.getInspector property and the Word editor property. What I'd also like to do is return a reference to that Word editor to a variable. So the Word editor returns a reference to a Word document. So what I'll do is declare a new variable called doc as a word.document, which is why we referenced the Word object library earlier. Then I can amend this line so that it says set doc equals mi.getInspector.wordEditor. This gives me access to the document object. So if I said doc dot, I now get all the methods and properties of a Word document. I can now use the document variable to refer to a range within the document. So I can say doc.range. A range in Word can represent any portion of a document. If I refer to it like so, the range refers to essentially the entire contents of the document. What I'd like to do is refer to the origin, the very beginning of my document. So in order to do that, what I need to do is specify a start and end of the range that I want to refer to. So I can set the start to position 0 and the end to position 0, which indicates the very beginning of my document. What I'd now like to do is refer to the inline shapes collection of that range. So inline shapes are ones which are sort of embedded within the text, so they're not free-floating shapes. They will sit in line with all of the other text. What I'd like to do then is use the add picture method to add a picture to the inline shapes collection of that range of the document. So we're nearly there. I can say add picture followed by a space, and then I can simply enter the full file name and folder path where my picture is stored. So I know that mine is stored at c:/pics, and the name of my picture was wiseowl.jpg. So having done all that, if I simply run the subroutine at this point, I'll end up with a new email object with my picture inserted right at the very beginning. Now, it's quite likely that when you generate an email for real, you want to start your email with some kind of greeting text rather than the image itself. Adding more text above the image is straightforward enough. What we can do if I close down this copy of the email and don't bother saving the changes, at any point thereafter I can refer to range 00, so I can say doc.range 0,0, and then I can use the insert before to insert some text before the beginning of the document. So if I say insert before and then set some kind of greeting text like, I don't know, dear someone, and then maybe a blank line or two, so I can concatenate a VB new line character a couple of times. And then I can concatenate another literal string. I could say, please see image below. And then perhaps finish that with another couple of new line characters just to space out the text from the image. Just slightly run out of space. Let's break this instruction across two separate lines there. If I run the subroutine one more time, we should find this time I end up with some greeting text followed by a space followed by the image. It's also quite likely that you'll want to modify the image in some way after it's been inserted into the document. So perhaps you want to change its size, for example, or apply some formatting properties to it. The best way to achieve any of those things is to first of all capture a reference to the image as it's being inserted into the document. To work out how to do that, we need to find out what type of object gets returned by the add picture method. So let's close down this version of the email without saving any changes. Let's have a look at the add picture method. If we click just at the end of it and then press Ctrl-I on the keyboard, that will redisplay the tooltip, the information about the add picture method. It shows us that at the end of the tooltip, the method returns a reference to something as an inline shape. This means that we can declare a variable of that type. So let's say dim shp as word.inlineShape. We can then modify this line to say set shp equals the method which adds the picture, and then one final thing we need to do is wrap the argument list in a set of parentheses. You must do this whenever you're capturing a result from a method or a property in VBA. If I want to return the result of add picture, I must enclose its argument list in a set of parentheses like so. The lovely thing about having done that is that should I want to modify anything about that shape object, I can simply now say shp followed by a full stop, and I have access to the full list of methods and properties. One simple thing you might want to do is change the size of the image, and you can do that by modifying both the width and the height properties of the shape. Let's say shp.width equals, and then I can simply assign a number which represents the width in points of the object. Let's go for 100. If I subsequently run the subroutine again, I should see that indeed my image has been shrunk width-wise. Sadly, it's distorted the image, it's squished it all up, so it's not resizing proportionally. I could work out what height is required to make the proportions even again, but there's a slightly simpler approach. If I close down this copy of the email and don't bother saving the changes, before modifying the width, I can say shp.lockaspectratio equals MSOTrue. So if I lock the aspect ratio, changing the width will automatically change the height to match. So if I run the subroutine again, this time we can see the image is indeed smaller, but it's remained in proportion. Let's close down that copy of the email, and again, don't bother saving the changes. You may also want to apply some basic formatting properties to the object. You can access all of these again using your shape variable. So let's say shp dot, let's look for the reflection property, and I want to assign a reflection type. Let's say reflection.type equals, I'll go with reflection type 3. I'm afraid they don't have very descriptive names. It's almost a case of working through the list until you find one that you like or want. So I'm going to go with reflection type 3. I can run the subroutine again, and this time indeed you can see that the image is reflected. You might also want to apply, say, a border to the image. Let's close down this copy of the email. Don't save the changes. I can say shp.borders. Let's go with an outside line style first of all, and I can make this equal to, let's go for dash dot. At least these ones have descriptive names rather than just 1, 2, 3, etc. Let's also change the width of that border. So I'm going to say borders.outside, outside line width. And again, we should be able to see a fairly descriptive list. Let's make this one quite heavy, quite thick. Outline width 225. If I run the subroutine again, once more, we can see that the border has now been applied, as well as the reflection. So you can apply lots of different formatting options, hopefully somewhat more tasteful examples than the ones I've given you here. As one final frivolous extra, we can apply a glow effect to the shape. So I'm going to say shp.glow. And then there are several properties to modify. First of all, let's go with the colour. And I'm going to use an RGB colour, a red, green, blue, just because it's easy to specify exactly which colour you like using the RGB function. So I can, let's make it bright red. So I'm going to maximise the red 255 and then minimise the green and the blue 0 and 0. We can then say shp.glow. Let's go for radius. This will dictate how large the glow effect is. So let's go with 15 points for that. And then one more, let's say shp.glow.transparency. And let's make the transparency 50%, 0.5. Okay, so although this will look absolutely hideous if I run the subroutine, it just gives you a bit of an idea about the various things you can do to affect a picture once it's been inserted into the document. Hopefully you'll find some of that useful. Thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen here, why not head over to the WiseR website, where you can find loads more free resources, including these videos, some written blogs and tutorials, and even some exercises that you can download to practice your skills. Thanks for watching, see you next time.